Happy to be joined by Anthony Slater from The Athletic. Let's jump right into the big news. Klay Thompson is no longer a Warrior. At what point in the season or offseason did you say to yourself, okay, Klay's not coming back?
Yeah, I would say definitely not coming back. Maybe 2 weeks prior to free agency, like the clock had started on when the Warriors technically could negotiate. I'd obviously been in contact with Klay's side really throughout the whole process, and it felt over then. I was kind of being told it was over then. I started hinting out to the public, hey, I think he might just be leaving regardless. As you go back and you start, hey, that breadcrumb, you can go back 5 years about how he got here. But I would say to your question, 2 weeks out, it started to be like, he's not coming back.
It felt like there was tension throughout the season. Klay had to take on a different role. Ultimately, do you think this is the best move for both sides to fresh start?
Yeah, considering where Klay's mindset was throughout the season, but by the end, maybe to get away from the spotlight a little bit, to get away from like the ghost of Klay Thompson that lives in Chase Center, essentially, that everybody else, I think, on the outside world was okay with him no longer being, but I'm not sure he internally yet was okay with like not being what Klay was and could have been had he not had those injuries. That's part of the reason I don't think he went to LA. That's still a fishbowl. His dad's up there. There's the history. I think he kind of wanted to just get out of the state a little bit and restart his career in a sense.
Well, it seems like the sign and trade worked out nicely. They get Kyle Anderson and Buddy Hield. They also add DeAnthony Melton. What's your take on the move so far?
It's a good remaking of the meat of a rotation, like a fifth, sixth guy, a seventh guy, a ninth guy. I think that's improved from last year, and they feel like a lot of the roster combinations can make a bit more sense. Melton is a very low usage, good defensive guard that I think fits very well next to Steph because he can take lead ball handlers, but he can play off ball. He can hit the three. I think he fits really well. Buddy Hield is your floor spacer, high volume 3-point shooter that is almost like a fake Klay Thompson in some lineups. And then Kyle Anderson can back up Draymond Green and do a lot of what Draymond does in his slow motion way. So I think, yeah, they're upgraded there. I think the young guys theoretically are going to get more minutes, which I think Moses Moody's ready to step in and more. Podziemski's ready. If they show some growth, there is some upward mobility, I think, for this team this year. But as I'm sure we're about to get to, if we're talking true contention, to me, they're still a big player away from actually making noise.
That being said, there's one big name that's been dangled out there for the last week. It's Lauri Markkanen. What is the latest that you're hearing on a potential trade?
The Warriors are a little bit more patient. Their roster's kind of already set for next year, but they have a standing offer that's very picks based that if Utah at any point could take, and then boom, they got Lauri Markkanen. But my sense, growing sense, talking to people around the league, knowing Danny Ainge, is that Utah probably will just hold on to him.
You say the roster is pretty much set without a Markkanen trade. Do you feel like if they miss out on him, they need to go out and make another move?
I don't think they feel the urgency like, they know by August 6th they don't get Markkanen. Well, by August 10th they better make a huge deal. I get a sense that they feel okay with the 14 man they would go into the season with, knowing that they could be an in-season trade team. They have this batch of picks that we know now for Paul George, for Lauri Markkanen, they've been willing to use. Future picks are valuable across the league because teams believe post Steph Curry they could really hit a downslide. And now that they've shown they're willing to use it, they could make a big trade in January. They could make a big trade in February if their team shows they are one trade away. So it's not as panicky as maybe the outside world would think it is.
I know there are still moves to be made in the West, but if the Warriors don't make another big acquisition, they go with this current roster, what do you see as their ceiling heading into next season?
They'll probably be picked by a lot of people. I would say high end 6 seed. I would probably have them in that playing mix, 7 to 10 range. But I could also see people being, considering what the West is, not only above them, but below them, right? Memphis is going to reappear. San Antonio should be on the rise. Houston's on the rise. I can see people picking them out of the playoffs, 11th, 12th seed type of team. Maybe they're one move away from getting 3-4 range, but it's kind of where they're at. It's kind of where they've aged to. I think some of that is on their veterans as well, but that's just the world they live in this West.
All right, I'm excited to see how the rest of the offseason plays out. He's Anthony Slater from The Athletic. Thanks for being on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.